What if the words in Psalm 23 are far more dangerous, deeper, and more personal than most people realize? What if, "The Lord is my shepherd," is not just a soft Bible verse people quote in moments of grief, at funerals, in hard times, or when they need emotional comfort, but a direct challenge to the way so many people are living right now? Because Psalm 23 is often treated like a peaceful poem, something beautiful, familiar, and calming. Yet when you slow down and really read Psalm 23 verse by verse, the meaning changes. It becomes stronger. It becomes sharper. It becomes personal. And that is exactly where the meaning most people miss begins. David does not open this psalm by talking about green pastures, still waters, or even protection. He opens with a confession of relationship. The Lord is my shepherd. That is not decorative language. That is not religious poetry for effect. That is a declaration of dependence, trust, belonging, and surrender. David is speaking as someone who understands what a shepherd really is. He knows a shepherd is not merely someone who gives food when needed. A shepherd leads. A shepherd corrects. A shepherd protects. A shepherd stays near. A shepherd watches over what belongs to him. So when David says, "The Lord is my shepherd," he is saying something much bigger than many people hear on the surface. He is saying, "I am not leading myself. I am not my own guide. I am not depending on my own strength to survive. My life is under the care, direction, and authority of God." That is where Psalm 23 becomes uncomfortable before it becomes comforting. Because this opening line forces a question many people do not want to face. Who is really leading my life? That is why Psalm 23 explained verse by verse cannot begin with soothing emotion alone. It begins with surrender, and that changes everything. In a world obsessed with independence, self-trust, self-made identity, and personal control, David's words cut against the grain. "The Lord is my shepherd" means I am not at the center. It means I do not define safety by my own wisdom. It means peace does not begin when I finally control everything around me. Peace begins when I belong to the one who leads perfectly. This is the part of Psalm 23 most people miss. They want the comfort of the shepherd without the leadership of the shepherd. They want green pastures without surrender. They want still waters without trust. They want protection without obedience. But David starts somewhere deeper. Before the blessings of Psalm 23 ever unfold, there is a personal claim. My shepherd. Not a distant God. Not a vague spiritual force. Not a poetic symbol. My shepherd. That word, my, makes the entire psalm intimate. It brings the listener out of the crowd and into direct relationship. It tells you this is not just a psalm to admire. It is a truth to enter. And that is why Psalm 23 has endured for generations. Not simply because it sounds beautiful, but because it speaks to one of the deepest needs in the human soul, the need to be led, guarded, sustained, and known by God. David is not reciting theology from a distance. He is speaking from experience. He knows what it means to wander. He knows what it means to need guidance. He knows what it means to be preserved, corrected, and carried through weakness. The opening verse already tells us that the peace of Psalm 23 is not random. It is rooted in relationship. It flows from belonging. It grows out of surrender. And once that truth settles into the heart, the next words of the psalm begin to open with even more force, because now the question is no longer just who the shepherd is, but what it really means to live like sheep under his care. And once that truth begins to settle in, the next line becomes even more powerful, because David says something that sounds simple on the surface, but is actually loaded with depth. I shall not want. This is one of the most quoted parts of Psalm 23, and also one of the most misunderstood. Many people hear it as if David were promising a life with no hardship, no loss, no delay, no tears, no unanswered questions, no suffering, and no seasons of weakness. But that is not what Psalm 23 is saying. If anything, the life of David proves the opposite. David knew fear. David knew enemies. David knew betrayal, grief, pressure, uncertainty, and pain. So when he says, I shall not want, he is not speaking as a man who has never suffered. He is speaking as a man who has learned that under the shepherding care of God, even when life is unstable, the soul can still be held steady. That changes the meaning of the entire verse. I shall not want does not mean I will always get everything I desire. It means that with the Lord as my shepherd, I will not lack what I truly need most. It means that my deepest survival is not at the mercy of circumstances. It means that even when the visible situation feels thin, the invisible care of God is still active. This is where Psalm 23 explained verse by verse starts to go deeper than surface-level comfort, because the psalm is not feeding human greed. It is healing human emptiness. David is not saying that God will satisfy every passing appetite of the flesh. He is saying that the shepherd knows how to sustain the life of the one who belongs to him. And that matters because so many people come to God mainly thinking about external provision. They think first about money, opportunities, open doors, solutions, relief, and visible change. And yes, God does provide in practical ways. Scripture is full of his faithfulness. But Psalm 23 is aiming at something deeper than material increase alone. David is showing that the greatest provision of the shepherd is not merely what he puts in your hand, but what he produces in your soul. Because there are people who have much and still live restless. There are people who have resources and still feel unsafe. There are people who are surrounded by comforts and still have no inward peace. So the meaning most people miss is that biblical provision is not measured only by abundance on the outside, but by rest on the inside. That is why the imagery immediately moves into green pastures and still waters. These are not random poetic decorations. They are loaded with spiritual meaning. Green pastures speak of nourishment, sufficiency, and a place where life is sustained. Still waters speak of peace, safety, and refreshment. David is painting a picture of what the shepherd is like and what the shepherd creates around the sheep. This is not the image of panic. It is not the image of chaos. It is not the image of a soul driven endlessly by fear, hurry, striving, and exhaustion. It is the image of a life being cared for by someone trustworthy. And the detail becomes even more powerful when you understand the nature of sheep. Sheep do not lie down casually. They only settle when they feel safe. If they sense danger, tension, threat, or instability, they remain agitated. They stay alert. They cannot truly rest. So when David says, "He makes me lie down in green pastures," he is revealing more than provision. He is describing security. He is describing the kind of peace that only comes when the presence of the shepherd silences the fear of the sheep. That is a powerful spiritual truth, because many people today are physically exhausted, emotionally overloaded, spiritually drained, mentally scattered, and inwardly restless. They are surrounded by noise, pressure, uncertainty, and constant anxiety. Their bodies may pause, but their souls never seem to lie down. And this is exactly why Psalm 23 still speaks with such force. It shows that the peace of God is not just the absence of activity. It is the presence of divine care. It is not just a break in the storm. It is the confidence that even in a world filled with instability, the shepherd has not abandoned his sheep. He leads me beside still waters means he knows where true peace is found. He does not drive his people into destruction. He leads them into what restores, nourishes, and steadies them. This is one of the clearest pictures in the Bible of God's guidance. The shepherd is not careless. The shepherd is not distracted. The shepherd is not late. He leads with intention. He leads with wisdom. He leads with awareness of what the sheep actually need. And that point matters because people often confuse what they want in the moment with what their soul needs in the long run. Sometimes we want speed, but God leads slowly. Sometimes we want immediate answers, but God gives sustaining grace. Sometimes we want the pressure removed, but God first restores the inner person so we can survive the season without collapsing under it. This is why Psalm 23 is so rich. It is not promising a life with no valley, no opposition, and no pain. It is promising a shepherd whose care is greater than the pressure, a shepherd who can nourish the soul in a dry season, a shepherd who can create inward stillness while everything around you feels unstable, a shepherd who knows that some of the deepest forms of provision are not loud, visible, or dramatic, but quiet, daily, and deeply sustaining. Then David says, "He restores my soul." And that takes the psalm even deeper. Because now we see that God is not only concerned with external circumstances, He is concerned with the condition of the inner person. He restores my soul means He revives what has been drained. He renews what has grown weak. He steadies what has become shaken. He heals what has been worn down by fear, grief, sin, exhaustion, disappointment, and the weight of life in a broken world. This is not shallow inspiration. This is spiritual restoration. And that is something many people desperately need, even if they do not know how to describe it. There are seasons when a person keeps functioning on the outside while something on the inside is unraveling. They keep moving, talking, working, serving, surviving, but inwardly they are tired in a way sleep cannot fix. Their soul feels thin, their heart feels heavy, their mind feels pulled in too many directions, their peace feels fragile. Psalm 23 speaks directly into that kind of condition. It says the shepherd does not only feed you, he restores you. He does not only protect you from external harm, he ministers to internal damage. He does not only care that you keep going, he cares about what is happening within you while you go. And that reveals the deeper message many overlook in Psalm 23. This psalm is not mainly about getting more things from God. It is about being brought into true rest by his care. It is about discovering that the deepest human need is not endless accumulation, but restored communion with the shepherd. It is about learning that peace is not found in finally controlling life, but in being led by the one who never loses control. It is about realizing that the soul was never designed to carry itself, guide itself, heal itself, and secure itself apart from God. The Lord as shepherd means the burden of ultimate keeping does not rest on the sheep. That is why David can speak with such quiet confidence, not because he has mastered life, but because he has learned the character of the one leading him. He knows that the shepherd gives rest, nourishment, safety, renewal, and direction. He knows that divine provision is richer than possessions and deeper than comfort. He knows that one of the greatest miracles in the life of faith is not just when circumstances improve, but when the soul is restored in the middle of weakness. And when that truth really sinks in, the psalm begins to move from something merely admired to something deeply lived. Because now the question is not only whether God provides, but how his guidance continues, even when the path ahead is not easy. If this part is speaking to you, comment, "He restores my soul," or even, "The Lord is my shepherd" below, because the next part of Psalm 23 opens the door to one of the strongest truths in the entire passage. And that is exactly where Psalm 23 becomes even more powerful, because at this point the psalm takes a turn that many people do not expect. Up to now, David has spoken about rest, provision, still waters, green pastures, and the restoring of the soul. But now the tone shifts. The atmosphere changes. The language becomes heavier, deeper, and more urgent. And this is one of the reasons Psalm 23 explained verse by verse is so important. Because if someone only reads this psalm as soft, peaceful, and poetic, they will miss one of its strongest messages. Psalm 23 is not naive. It is not disconnected from suffering. It is not a fragile piece of religious language written by someone who has never seen pressure, danger, fear, or grief. It is a psalm that knows exactly what darkness feels like, and that is why its comfort is so strong. David says, "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil." That line alone destroys the idea that the Christian life is supposed to be free from valleys. It destroys the false expectation that being close to God means never facing dark seasons. It destroys the shallow belief that faith automatically removes pain, removes danger, removes uncertainty, or removes the emotional weight of walking through hard places. David does not say, "The Lord is my shepherd, therefore I will never see the valley." He says the opposite. He makes it clear that even under the care of the shepherd, there are valleys. There are dark stretches. There are moments where fear feels close. There are seasons where the road is narrow, uncertain, and overshadowed by danger. And that truth matters because many people start questioning God the moment life becomes dark. They assume that if the valley appears, something must be wrong. They assume the presence of pain means the absence of God. But Psalm 23 teaches the opposite. The valley is not proof that the shepherd has failed. The valley is one more place where his presence becomes known in a deeper way. David does not deny the darkness. He does not pretend evil is not real. He does not act as though fear is imaginary. He names the valley. He acknowledges the shadow. He recognizes the threat. But then he says something even stronger. "I will fear no evil." And the reason he gives is not because the valley is pleasant, not because the danger is gone, not because he understands everything, and not because he suddenly became strong in himself. The reason is this: "For you are with me." This is one of the most beautiful turning points in all of Psalm 23. Earlier, David is speaking about God. He says, "He makes me lie down. He leads me. He restores my soul." But in the valley, the language changes. Now David starts speaking directly to God. "You are with me." That shift matters deeply, because in peaceful seasons, people can talk about God in general terms. They can speak about theology, truth, doctrine, promises, and ideas. But in the valley, theology has to become personal. In pain, truth must become presence. In the dark valley, secondhand language is not enough. Information alone is not enough. Religious vocabulary alone is not enough. The soul needs something closer. It needs the living nearness of God. That is why this moment in Psalm 23 is so powerful. The valley forces intimacy. The darkness drives David from description into direct address. He is no longer just saying who God is in theory. He is clinging to God in relationship. That is often what suffering does. It strips away shallow ideas and exposes what is real. It forces a person to discover whether the God they have spoken about is truly the God they know. And David's words show that in the valley, the shepherd is not more distant. He is more personal. "For you are with me" is not a decorative phrase, it is the center of David's courage. It is the reason fear does not have the final word. And notice carefully, David does not say, "I stop walking." He says, "Though I walk through the valley." That matters too, because Psalm 23 is not describing permanent abandonment in darkness. It is describing movement through darkness. The valley is real, but it is not the final destination. The shadow is heavy, but it is not the end of the story. This is why the language is so important. He walks through. He does not build his home there. He does not belong there. He does not stay there forever. And that is a word many people need. Because in seasons of grief, anxiety, spiritual warfare, confusion, and suffering, the valley can feel endless. It can feel like the darkness has the final claim on your life. But Psalm 23 says the shepherd does not abandon his sheep in the valley, and he does not lose them there either. He leads them through. This is where Psalm 23 becomes incredibly relevant for anyone facing fear today. Maybe the valley looks like loss. Maybe it looks like betrayal. Maybe it looks like uncertainty about the future. Maybe it looks like spiritual exhaustion, depression, inner warfare, family pain, financial pressure, sickness, or deep loneliness. The form may vary, but the experience is familiar. The valley is any place where the weight of life presses hard enough to make the soul tremble. And Psalm 23 does not speak to that reality with cliches. It speaks with substance. It says that the answer to the valley is not pretending it is easy. The answer is not denying fear exists. The answer is the nearness of God in the middle of what threatens to overwhelm the heart. That is why David can say, "I will fear no evil." He is not saying he is incapable of feeling emotion. He is saying fear will not be his ruler. Fear will not become his shepherd. Fear will not define the truth of the moment. Why? Because there is something deeper than the valley and stronger than the shadow. You are with me. This is one of the deepest messages in biblical comfort. Real comfort is not built on the guarantee that life will always feel safe. Real comfort is built on the certainty that God is near even when life does not feel safe. That is the meaning most people miss in Psalm 23. They think comfort means an easy path, but David says comfort comes from the presence of the shepherd while walking a hard path. Then David says, "Your rod and your staff, they comfort me." And again, this is richer than many people realize. The rod and the staff are not ornamental details. They are the tools of the shepherd, and both reveal something essential about the care of God. The rod was a tool of defense. It was used against threats. It represented strength, protection, and the shepherd's readiness to confront danger on behalf of the sheep. The staff, on the other hand, was used for guidance, direction, and correction. It helped lead the sheep, pull them close, and keep them from wandering into places of danger. So when David says, "Your rod and your staff, they comfort me," he is saying that the shepherd's comfort comes not only from his presence, but from his active care. God is not near in a passive way. He is near as protector. He is near as guide. He is near as defender. He is near as the one who both guards and governs the path of his people. This is important because many people want a God who comforts without correcting, a God who protects without directing, a God who stays near but never leads, never restrains, never redirects. But the shepherd of Psalm 23 does all of that. His comfort includes his authority. His care includes his correction. His love includes his guidance. And that is good news, because sheep left to themselves are vulnerable. They wander. They drift. They do not always recognize danger. They need a shepherd who can both fight for them and steer them. In the same way, believers do not merely need emotional reassurance. They need divine leadership. They need the kind of presence that does not only calm fear, but also keeps them from being swallowed by confusion, temptation, despair, and spiritual drift. And this is where Psalm 23 becomes incredibly strong in darkness. It shows that the valley is not just a place where God watches from a distance. It is a place where his protection and guidance become especially meaningful. The rod tells you the shepherd is not intimidated by what threatens you. The staff tells you the shepherd is committed to leading you faithfully, even when you cannot clearly see the way. So the comfort is not fragile. It is not sentimental. It is not based on mood. It is grounded in the character of the shepherd himself. That is why David can keep walking, not because the valley became less dark, but because the shepherd remained near, active, and trustworthy within it. And that is one of the deepest spiritual truths in this psalm. The valley does not erase the shepherd. It reveals him differently. In green pastures you learn his provision. Beside still waters you learn his peace. In the restoring of the soul, you learn his tenderness. But in the valley of the shadow of death, you learn his nearness in a way comfort alone could never teach. You learn that God is not only the God of calm places, he is the God of dark places too. He is not only the God of blessing that feels visible and pleasant, he is the God who stays close when the air feels heavy, when the path feels uncertain, when fear whispers loudly, and when the soul is tempted to collapse under the weight of what it sees. That is why Psalm 23 continues to grip the hearts of people across generations. Because it does not offer fake peace, it offers the real presence of God. It does not pretend darkness is unreal. It declares that darkness is not final. It does not say believers never tremble. It says they are not abandoned when they do. And maybe that is exactly what makes this psalm so unforgettable. It gives language to suffering without surrendering hope. It acknowledges fear without bowing to it. It faces death's shadow without allowing the shadow to become Lord. Because only one is Lord, and David has already told us who that is. The shepherd, the one who leads, provides, restores, protects, and stays. So when you read these words slowly, the meaning most people miss becomes impossible to ignore. The comfort of Psalm 23 is not the comfort of easy circumstances. It is the comfort of divine nearness. It is the peace of knowing that in the darkest valley, God does not disappear into doctrine or memory. He comes close. He remains present. He carries authority into the fear, guidance into the confusion, and strength into the weakness. And once that truth takes hold, the psalm is ready to move into another surprising image. Because the shepherd's care does not stop at survival in the valley. It continues into a scene of honor, security, and overflowing provision that many people never fully stop to notice. If this part spoke to you, comment, "You are with me," or "Through the valley below," and if you want, comment, "Psalm 23 is deeper than I thought," because the next part reveals that even in the presence of enemies, the care of God keeps unfolding. And this is where Psalm 23 rises into its final note of confidence, beauty, and deep assurance, because David does not end this psalm in fear, and he does not end it in suspense. He does not leave the listener wondering whether God will remain faithful. He does not close with uncertainty, hesitation, or a weak religious hope that maybe things will work out somehow in the end. He ends with conviction. He ends with settled confidence. He ends with the kind of spiritual certainty that only comes from knowing the character of God across every season already described in the psalm. After green pastures, still waters, restored soul, right paths, dark valleys, rod and staff, a table in the presence of enemies, an anointed head, and an overflowing cup, David now says, "Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life." That word surely matters. It is not accidental. It is not decorative. It is the language of assurance. It is the language of someone who is no longer guessing about the goodness of God. It is the language of someone who has walked with the shepherd long enough to know that divine faithfulness is not theoretical. It is real. It is steady. It is personal. It is proven. And that is a powerful ending, because so many people live with spiritual uncertainty. They wonder if God will really stay with them. They wonder if his grace will run out. They wonder if hardship means they have somehow fallen outside his care. They wonder if mercy is only for a few moments, a few victories, a few selected seasons. But Psalm 23 says something far stronger. David does not say goodness and mercy might follow me when I am doing well. He does not say goodness and mercy will follow me only in seasons of visible blessing, answered prayer, emotional strength, or external peace. He says goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. That means the faithfulness of God is not occasional. It is continual. It is not fragile. It is enduring. It is not limited to bright days. It reaches into every day. When David says, "Goodness and mercy shall follow me," he is giving one of the most beautiful pictures in all of Scripture. The believer is not wandering through life alone, trying to outrun fear while hoping grace can keep up. No, according to Psalm 23, the life of the one under God's shepherding care is pursued by goodness and mercy. That is astonishing when you stop and think about it. Many people feel followed by regret, followed by failure, followed by anxiety, followed by memories, followed by weakness, followed by spiritual battles, followed by the consequences of a broken world. But David says there is something greater following the believer: the goodness of God and the mercy of God. Goodness means the active benevolence, kindness, and faithfulness of God at work toward his people. Mercy carries the idea of steadfast love, covenant love, loyal love, the kind of love that does not walk away when the person is weak. It is not random compassion. It is committed mercy. It is the love of God that remains. And the meaning gets even deeper when you realize David is not speaking about a short burst of divine help. He says all the days of my life, not some of them, not only the easy ones, not only the days that make sense, not only the days when faith feels strong, all the days. That includes ordinary days, painful days, confusing days, victorious days, lonely days, waiting days, grieving days, rebuilding days, days of weakness, days of gratitude, days of warfare, and days when the heart barely knows how to pray. Psalm 23 explained verse by verse reveals something many people miss. The believer's confidence is not rooted in a predictable life, but in the unchanging character of the shepherd. The reason David can say surely is because the goodness and mercy of God do not depend on the instability of human circumstances. They rest on the stability of God himself. This is what makes the end of Psalm 23 so strong. David has not denied suffering. He has already spoken about the valley of the shadow of death. He has already acknowledged enemies. He has already shown that the life of faith includes danger, fear, and pressure. But now he shows that none of those things have the final word. The final word belongs to God's goodness. The final word belongs to God's mercy. The final word belongs to the shepherd who has carried him through every stage of the psalm and will continue to do so. That is why Psalm 23 is not soft. It is strong. It does not offer shallow encouragement. It offers covenant certainty. It does not say that life becomes simple. It says that even through complexity, divine goodness and mercy remain relentlessly present. And then David says something that opens the psalm even wider: "And I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever." This is the line that reveals just how much bigger Psalm 23 is than temporary comfort. Because if someone reads Psalm 23 only as a chapter about surviving stressful moments, recovering emotionally, or receiving daily help, they are still missing the full force of its message. David is not only talking about present guidance, he is talking about final belonging. He is not only describing how God helps his people through life, he is revealing where that shepherding care is leading in the end. It is leading home. It is leading into everlasting communion with God. That changes everything, because now Psalm 23 is no longer just about present peace in a troubled world. It is about eternal relationship. It begins with, "The Lord is my shepherd," and it ends with, "I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever." In other words, the psalm starts with belonging and ends with belonging fulfilled. It starts with the shepherd and ends with the home of the shepherd. It starts with guidance and ends with permanence. It starts on the path and ends in the presence of God forever. This is why the psalm carries such deep hope. The care of God is not temporary management until life falls apart again. It is the care of a shepherd who intends to bring his people all the way into everlasting fellowship with himself. And that is the part many people overlook. Psalm 23 is not merely about God helping you survive hard seasons. It is about living under God's care now and forever. It is about a relationship that does not stop at earthly relief. It reaches into eternity. David is saying that the one who is led by the Lord in this life will not be abandoned at the end of life. The one whose soul is restored now will dwell with God forever. The one who has known the shepherd on the path will know the joy of the shepherd's house without end. This is not vague optimism. This is biblical assurance. It is the deep confidence that the God who shepherds his people through time will not fail them in eternity. And that final line also answers one of the deepest human fears. Where does all of this lead? What is the end of the journey? Is the believer simply wandering from one season to the next, surviving provision here, restoration there, a valley here, protection there, only to remain uncertain about the final outcome? David answers with clarity. The end is not abandonment. The end is not meaninglessness. The end is not separation from God. The end is dwelling in the house of the Lord forever. That phrase carries the beauty of permanence, security, communion, and rest that will never again be interrupted by fear, sin, sorrow, enemies, exhaustion, or death. The shepherd does not merely keep his sheep alive, he brings them home. That is why Psalm 23 has brought comfort to generations of believers. Not because it offers sentimental language, but because it gives a complete picture of the faithfulness of God. The shepherd provides. The shepherd gives rest. The shepherd restores the soul. The shepherd leads in paths of righteousness. The shepherd stays near in the valley. The shepherd comforts with rod and staff. The shepherd prepares a table in the presence of enemies. The shepherd honors, anoints, fills, and overflows the life of the one under his care. And finally, the shepherd ensures that goodness and mercy continue all the days of life until the journey opens fully into the everlasting presence of God. That is the message most people miss. Psalm 23 is not simply a chapter for funerals, tragedies, or moments of emotional need. It is a declaration of the entire life of faith, from surrender to rest, from provision to restoration, from darkness to courage, from daily care to eternal communion. And when you see the psalm this way, every line becomes richer. "The Lord is my shepherd" is no longer a gentle phrase you admire from a distance. It becomes the foundation of everything. Because if the Lord is truly your shepherd, then your life is not abandoned to chance. Your soul is not left to heal itself. Your valley is not proof of his absence. Your enemies are not evidence of his defeat. Your future is not undefined. Your story is not moving in circles. It is being carried by a faithful shepherd whose care is deeper than comfort, stronger than fear, and larger than this present world. Psalm 23 begins with surrender before peace, and it ends with everlasting belonging after every valley, every meal in the presence of enemies, every act of restoration, and every quiet proof of mercy along the road. This is why David speaks with confidence instead of panic. He has learned that the goodness of God is not weak and the mercy of God is not temporary. He has learned that the Lord does not lead his people halfway and then leave them to finish alone. He has learned that divine care is not a passing emotion from heaven, but a covenant commitment. The shepherd is not only present in moments of visible blessing, he is present in dark valleys, in ordinary days, in spiritual restoration, in righteous paths, and in the final destination of the believer. He leads with purpose. He keeps with mercy. He surrounds with goodness. He brings home what belongs to him. So when the whole psalm comes together, the picture is breathtaking. The shepherd provides when the sheep are needy. He restores when the soul is weary. He leads when the path is unclear. He protects when the valley is dark. He comforts when fear rises. He honors in the presence of enemies. He fills the cup until it overflows. He sends goodness and mercy behind every step of the journey. And in the end, he does not merely improve the road, he brings his people into everlasting communion with himself. That is the final hope of Psalm 23. And that is why this chapter remains one of the most powerful passages in the Bible. For anyone who wants to understand the heart of God, the faithfulness of the shepherd, the meaning of true rest, the reality of divine protection, and the hope of eternal belonging. If this message spoke to you, comment "Surely goodness and mercy" or "The Lord is my shepherd" below. And if this psalm touched your heart in a deeper way today, comment "He brings his people home" or "Psalm 23 is about more than comfort."